Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. This channel is shared by my twin sister Nellie and I. I am Lainey if you're curious, and for today's video, it is my first ever reading vlog. Now, this is not going to be a booktube channel. My sister and I just want to post whatever, and I started recently reposting on this channel again back in the summer, and I just, it's a little bit sparse, but I post whenever I feel like it, whatever I feel like. And by all means, this is not going to be a booktube channel, but I would love to do dedicated vlogs about books, if that makes any sense. The video is quite long, so I'll keep this intro short, but welcome to this reading vlog, and I hope you guys enjoy it, and I'll see you at the end of it. Hi guys, so I just finished cleaning, or actually I just finished eating. My mom made us hamburgers and fries, so I just finished eating, but before that I just finished cleaning up. A couple of days ago I went to the thrift store with my sister, because usually when I'm planning on, like, if I want more books, I would go to the thrift store. Where I get my books varies. I would get my books from the thrift store. I will get my books, or I used to get a lot of my books from the school library. Our school store was closing down last year, so they were doing sales on a lot of the reading books in the library. Dollar Tree has some great books. When I started working in 2019 and I was able to make my own money, and I knew that I wanted to build up my collection because I absolutely love to read. Books are expensive, so I started off with only buying books from Dollar Tree, and then I branched out from buying books from thrift stores. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Dollar Tree, and then my neighborhood has a free library thing, so I sometimes get books there as well. So let me show you the books that I got at the thrift store. So the first book I have here is Before I Fall. I'm familiar with the story already and I wanted to revisit it, so I thought it was a find that I found at the thrift store. The next book I have here is called The Night She Disappeared, and the summary is just about like well, I don't think it's a murder. It's like a mystery of two students who disappeared after a party, and then the writer, who's at a cabin or a cottage or something, sees a mysterious note in the woods that says "dig here," and it could be a potential clue about where these two students went missing a year ago. The next book I have here is called Behind Closed Doors, and this is just basically like a picture perfect couple, but like not really. Some might call this true love. Others might wonder why Grace never answers the phone, or why she can never meet for coffee even though she doesn't work. How can she cook such elaborate meals but remain so slim? Or why she never seems to take anything with her when she leaves the house, not even a pen. Or why there are such high security metal shutters on all the downstairs windows. Like, call that intriguing. The next book here I have is called The Girl on the Train. I believe this was like a movie or a show a couple of years ago, maybe on Netflix or something. But yeah, I have The Girl on the Train here, and if you're interested, here is what the summary looks like. I already started reading this one. The second to last book that I have is called Every Other Weekend. This is what the cover looks like. Here is the synopsis. And then the last book I have is called Members Only. Here is what this looks like. And you could probably barely see that. And this is about a man who wants to basically like fit into this like high ranking official tennis club, and it says, but in an effort to connect, he makes a racist joke. The committee turns on him no matter the years of prejudice he's put up with. Worse still, he soon finds his job is in jeopardy after a group of students report him as a reverse racist thanks to his alleged anti-Western bias. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That is 6 books that I picked up. Maybe other than The Girl on the Train, I don't think I will immediately read any of these. Or maybe behind closed doors. Actually, The Night She Disappeared too. Okay, I don't know. I'm gonna because I already picked out like what the potential next books I'm gonna read are. But honestly, there's 3 books here that I also desperately want to read at the moment. So we're gonna revise, and then I'm gonna come back and share what my potential reads might look like. But before I show you guys what my potential reads might look like, we actually got to finish Percy Jackson. The book has seen better days, but I have 45 pages left. I have been reading Percy Jackson maybe since the 26th or the 27th of October, and I've been reading 10 pages a day. And I was supposed to finish today the last 5 pages, but I decided, I think on Monday or Tuesday, to hold off from reading the rest of the 10 pages so I can read all the last 45 pages today instead, because I thought like that was just better. And I think that anticipation built up. So if you want to know what I mean by that anticipation, we're gonna roll the clip back to a couple of days ago when I read the last 10 pages prior to the next 45 that I'm going to read. So yeah, let's get into that. So I am currently on P328. I haven't started. I like 3 more pages left to complete my daily intake of the book. I don't like the anxiety that I get every time it gets mentioned or called back to the fact that like Percy is on the news, and you know he has this very negative perception, like, you know, being displayed or conveyed on the news. and every time he goes somewhere or something happens, like the news gets updated with sightings of him. Oh my god, I get so anxious every time that gets brought up. But like, I know it's not going to be a minor thing by the end of the book, but while you're reading it, it isn't the most important thing that's happening at the moment when it does get mentioned, until the fight he's having with Ares. The what was it? The end of page 327. He's fighting with Ares. Things are not going too good. And then he's talking about how they that he sees like or hears like sirens, and then he says the car doors were slamming. Their officer, somebody yelled, "See?" A gruff cop voice. "Looks like that kid on TV. What the heck?" I'm so surprised, because isn't there like supposed to be some sort of like fog or haze? So I guess they see him, but they don't see like he's like fighting with Ares, or no, but they said that he was armed. I don't know what the heck is happening. Oh, they think they have guns. Yeah. Oh my god, like my heart is pounding. I literally cannot read. Like, I'm scared to read further. Ah, my gosh. Okay, I'm at 3:30 now. I'm stopping there, even though it's right in the middle of the chapter that happens. I always tell myself, like, even though you read on, you still have to read 10 pages the next day. So I just narrowly like completed my 10 pages. It's 11:57 now. So I could just wait 3 minutes and continue on, or actually I have to work on my final project. I'm gonna stay up for at least an hour to work on my final project. So I'll put a hold on reading for now, but it just means that when I read tomorrow or later on, I don't know, I feel a little bit better because I have time, and that anticipation would have built up a little bit more. We're currently right now fighting Ares. I think he's kind of winning based on like the damage that Ares is taking. But something is happening. They said that the police cars were burning up, the spectators were running away. So things are happening, and I cannot wait to read what it is. So I have 55 pages left of the book, meaning that I'll finish the book on Saturday, meaning I need to think about what my next book is. I could move on to the next Percy Jackson book. I have the whole series here. But I think I might like put pauses in between reading the series to ensure that I'm reading other types of books as well. I was reading a book prior to starting Percy Jackson that I didn't finish because when I started the 75 Soft Challenge with my sister, I wanted to read something from start to finish completely before I go back to continuing books I had already started. So I will go back probably most likely to continue the book that I am well over 100 pages reading on Saturday moving forward. Anyways, next time you see me, I would have already finished the book and I will tell you all of my thoughts. Good morning, everyone. It is the next day. So I didn't actually end up reading Percy Jackson yesterday or finishing the book. I ended up reading 10 pages of something else instead to like make up my habit quota for the day, because I had a lot of homework to do and I ended up taking a nap for a really long time after I did some cleaning. And so yeah, even though it would take me like less than an hour to read, I was like, I couldn't even spare like 20 minutes to be reading something, like, to be honest, because I have a final project that like needed to be done like yesterday or finished like yesterday. Not really, but like it really should have been finished at an earlier time. Oh well. Oh well. I'm still going to read the book though. Yikes. Anyways, you guys saw, like, hopefully I had the clip, but the last 10 pages that I read in this book, I was anxious. So we're just gonna open it up, and the book is in parts. So we'll just take this last part of all this back together, put it on the bed behind me. I was gonna try to bind it together. My sister doesn't actually have book binding glue. I thought she did. She thought she did, but she doesn't. And I was just gonna use regular Elmer's glue. But then I read that if the glue is not acid free, then it could like mess up the pages. So I was like, you know what, who cares? If I ever pop to Michael's to get some more art supplies, I saw that Michael sells acid free glue. But if not, I'm not gonna really go out my way to buy that at the moment. Anyways, let's get to reading. I'm on page 330 and the book finishes on 375, I think. It is 11:48, so I should finish within less than an hour. It's very gloomy because it's been raining. I have to turn the light on because it's so dark because of how dark it is outside. So I have to turn the light on for this. So we're not gonna get the vibe because this is like a yellow orange light bulb. So yeah, but just picture the gloominess. It's just so comforting. Picture the gloominess, even with the sounds of cooking in the background. Okay, let's get to reading. Oh, okay. I'm surprised. I won't stress this enough. I love the trio. Love them. I'm gonna go read on the bed. I think I need a change of layout. Position? Yeah, position. Okay, so I just got to the part where Percy got to Olympus and he like greeted his father and Zeus was like upset about that. Poseidon got greeted first. So this is around 341 and the book ends at 375 and he's already at Olympus. So I'm like, other than him like explaining that he wasn't the one who stole the lightning bolt, and then I'm assuming, like the movie, he gets his mother back. So other than that, why do we still have like another 30-something pages left? Unless there's gonna be some sort of like other battle. Cause wait, didn't in the movie he fought Luke? Or was that like a movie original thing? I don't know, we'll see. Just a thought that came across my mind. Oh, Kronos. I mean, I already figured when they were in the underworld, but okay. I don't think that was in the movie. A lot of things were in the movie, so I don't know why I'm still so surprised. It's getting good. It is getting good. But I think I have to stop. I have a final project I really need to do. We're gonna take a pause here. I'll do some laundry, do some homework, and then come back to continue finishing the book. But so far I'm on top of page 345. So I have exactly 30 pages to go.
And you know what's the best part? Listen.
So I did not manage to continue reading. I ended up doing laundry for like 3 or 4 hours because I did 3 loads of laundry. And then after that, I continued working on my final project. I'm nowhere near finished, so I really did have to put a pause on reading because knowing me, I would read for like 2 or 3 hours, and that's just time I do not have. So yeah, I'm gonna still keep up with my 10 pages minimum. So I am gonna still put a pause on finishing Percy Jackson because I do want to finish the rest of the book in one sitting. So yeah, we might start another book before I finish Percy Jackson, which I did not want to do. Or maybe I'll read like a comic or graphic novel to make up those days. I think I'm gonna do that instead. It's been a while since I've read a comic or graphic novel or manga, so I think I'll do that. Yeah, okay. Good night. Hi everyone, my sister and I came back from class we came back home at 1:16. It is currently 1:40. I have no idea what I was doing for the last 20 minutes. So my sister and I stopped at the free library casing that's at our neighborhood, and I picked up some books. And I say that so I say that kind of half disappointedly. Yeah. So 2 days ago, when I was organizing the book space my sisters and I have, I counted all the books that we have, and I don't remember the number. I think it was 264, give or take 1 or 2 books. I think that I miscounted 1 or 2 books. So 264 or 266, give or take. And then I broke down the books in terms of like in categories. So I had my books, my sister books. There are 3 books that I didn't know if it was mine or my sister's. I broke it down into a category for children books, or like books we had when we were children. Others consist of encyclopedia books, art books, workbooks, guides, dictionary, Bibles, comics, graphic novels, and mangas. So I'm gonna tell you guys this like breakdown here. So at first I asked my sister like how much she thinks. But I told her the total of all the books, but then I just told her the total between her and me, which was 110 or 112, give or take. And I told her like, what do you think the breakdown is between me and her? And she thought like 30 80, her to me. But then she was like, okay, maybe it's like more like 40 and then something else. But she was very shocked when I told her it was 13 to 94. I own 94 books and she owns 13. But I own more than 94 books and she also owns more than 13 books because we both own like a bunch of children books. We both own encyclopedia or art books. We both own comics, graphic novels, and mangas. And I didn't count the other section within our like respective thing because I don't know, I feel like you would just group comics together, mangas together, graphic novels together. So I was like, okay. So I own 94 books, but my list grew because I got some more. My book collection also grew because I was filming this in my little sister's room because she has the best lighting. And to my left, on top of her wardrobe, she has like maybe 2 to 3 stacks of books, and at one of her stacks all the way in the back at the bottom, I did not realize that I have some books there. So that adds on to my total. And then my twin sister and I, we also for some reason have one of our Bibles or 2 of our Bibles each in our younger sister's room. I think from when we used to do like Bible study nights together a couple of years ago, and I guess we just never took our Bibles back. So that would add on to the total as well. That's where the slight disappointment comes from. My sister owns 13. There were 3 books that we weren't sure, or I wasn't sure who owned. We have 54 children books, and that ranges from picture books. And it also ranges from like other books that are for more of a children audience, like Diary of a Kid, Horrible Harry, Judy B. Jones, How to Train Your Dragon book, Main Street, Babysitter Club, American Girl. Like books that we had when we were children are also catered towards children, if that makes sense. And then in others, for our encyclopedia, art book, workbook, guides, there were 23 books in total. And that's from like, you know, the history of manga, the DC and Marvel encyclopedia books that I picked up not last week, 2 weeks ago, last week, I don't remember. We own 7 dictionary and Bibles, like together. We have 11 comics, which 10 of them are my sister's, I think. Yeah. Graphic novels, we only have 8, 9, because I just got one. And I don't know the distribution between that. I think we have like, it's probably like an even amount. And then manga is 5. I think my sister owns like 3, and then 2 of them were mangas that were gifted from a friend. So like we both own those together. Yeah, my collection just grew because at the free library thing, I picked up Neil Gaiman's Fragile Things. I'll read a little bit to you, but it says, a mysterious circus terrifies an audience for one extraordinary performance before disappearing into the night, taking one of the spectators along with it. Like, if that does not like hook you in, I don't know. In a novella set 2 years after the events of American Gods, Shadow pays a visit to an ancient Scottish mansion and finds himself trapped in a game of murder and monsters. In a Hugo Award-winning short story set in a strangely altered Victorian England, the great detective Sherlock Holmes must solve a most unsettling royal murder. And then there's like two or three more paragraphs of like I guess expansions to these stories. So I guess these are like, so I guess this is not like a book. It's more like an expansion of previous stories, I'm assuming. I'll search it up, but that's what I'm getting from the vibe of this. That was like the 3rd book that I picked up. The first book that I picked up from the library was X by Sue Grafton, sorry. There wasn't like a casing, so I had to search up the summary to ensure if I wanted to pick up this book. But essentially from online, it said that this was the 24th installment of her Alphabet Murder Mystery series. They said that the detective character gets reintroduced into each series, and each book can be read standalone. So that's why I picked up this book. The second book that I got, which I vaguely remember because this one also didn't have like a casing thing, so I had to search out the summary for, is called The Liar. And what I got from online was that this girl works at an ice cream parlor. She lies about getting sexually assaulted by this guy, and I think it's revealed that she lied, so she has to live with the consequences of like you know, lying about something so huge. And the last book that I picked up was called The Magic Fish, and this is a graphic novel. It's a graphic novel. It says, real life isn't a fairy tale. In fairy tales, the prince falls in love with the princess, but Tien has a different story to tell. His parents are refugees struggling to learn English, and he doesn't know how to come out to them in Vietnamese. If he doesn't even have the right words, how can he ever know if his parents will accept him? I really have to figure out what my next set of books I'm going to read is, because I am almost done with Percy Jackson. I have about 30 something pages to go, and I'm going to share my thoughts on Percy Jackson. I didn't even know like the camera was slipping. At the end of it, I'm like, Why am I like trying to like fit myself into that screen? The phone was falling, that's why. Okay, 3:45. Honestly, this whole book is a mess. Let's just take the part that we need out and let's not waste any more time. Okay, so I'm at 3:45. Okay, and I'm at the part when Percy already gave back the lightning bolt and he explained to Poseidon and Zeus like Ares' involvement, but also that there might be someone else involved as well. And then Kronos gets mentioned, and 3:45 where I left off says, that's what he intends, father. That's what he said. Poseidon was silent for a long time. Lord Zeus has closed discussion on this matter. He will not allow talk of Kronos. You have completed your quest, child. That is all you need to do. So, let's continue. Okay, so in the movie they had like him retrieve his mom, and then like his mom like helped him, like I can't remember it too much, but I'm pretty sure it's like his mom helped him like go to the elevator to get to Olympus, but she couldn't like cross the threshold between like the elevator to actually Olympus because like, you know, she's a human. But in this one it's just like, oh, your mom's home, and if you go home you'll see her. So yeah, I mean I knew there was gonna be a lot of differences, but I did not know like some of the things that were changed. Just seems like questionable. Like why did you change it? It just seems like you could have still went the same route that it's written in the book. Yeah, and some of the changes are like really big. Some of the changes are so minor. So I really see why fans are like, out of any property that needs to be remade, because you know everyone really just hates remakes nowadays, but I see why people say like Percy Jackson is one that like desperately needed to be remade. Aww. That's sweet. Oh, they reunited. Yay. Or like how she doesn't remember anything after like kind of dying, but like not really, and then how she just appeared in the apartment, and then Gabe, the annoying, ungrateful, abusive stepfather, tells her that she needs to go into work because she has a month's salary to make up. This man is ridiculous. But this man is so rude. Oh my lord. The difference in lighting after like half an hour is literally crazy. I want to have daylight savings again. I absolutely hate that it gets dark by like 4 p.m. It's not dark yet. It's like 2:40 something, but it's getting there. And it just sucks. Anyways, I just finished eating. I was continuing reading the book, and every once in a while I would stop to just like telling Nellie, my twin sister, about like, or just stopping every once in a while to just talk more about the book and just like talk about the differences, because she watched the movie, so she'll like will understand the differences when I talk about them. And then I teared up a little bit because I absolutely love the trio, and now Grover is setting out on like to find Pan, and just breaks my heart that they're not together, but it's gonna be okay. I know that he's going to, I don't know if he'll find Pan, but I know that he's going to survive. And then Percy, just like his vibe is a little off because he was thinking back to what the Oracle was saying, and he was like basically like listing and checking off like, okay, this happened, but he still kind of feels uneasy. And my thought just goes back to Luke, because like he has to be the villain because he was that in the movie, right? It was Luke, and we still have like 20 pages left, so it's gonna be Luke. currently have 15 pages left. I'm on page 360 and I'm a little bit nervous, but everything is going really well so far. I think we're wrapping up. Percy just got his beads. Things are calming down. And so, yeah, I'm just overall very excited to just finish up this book. I don't know why I'm shocked. I knew it. It's a mix of shock and anger. I knew it was gonna happen, but I'm still, I want to punch him so badly. I'm on the last 3 pages, and so much has not been resolved yet. So, I'm nervous. Gang is splitting up. I mean, the book is almost over, but oh my god, I hate that they're separating. Okay, the last page. Oh my god, what the? Oh my gosh, that's how it ends. Okay, so I assumed that the Luke conflict would get resolved by the end of the book, because I don't remember in the movies Luke being brought up again or shown or mentioned or whatever in the second movie. But we're not done with Luke. So yeah, I told myself that I was gonna put a pause in between reading the Percy Jackson series, but I really want to know what happens next, like properly this time, instead of just like relying on the my movie knowledge. It is currently 1:23 a.m. Yeah, it's the next day. So yeah, I finished Percy Jackson. It took me like 35-ish minutes to read the last 30 pages. And I really liked the book. I think I had to like reflect and analyze everything that I'm reading to kind of really properly convey my emotions and my thoughts overall of like the book as a whole. I'm really tired to be saying anything other than just I really liked the book. It was about time that I was gonna pick up and read this book. It is 1:26 now. I'm gonna go to bed. And I cannot wait to start whatever book I decide to read next. It's gonna be a good one. So bye guys. Good night. Okay, so you guys saw you saw this collection a couple of days ago, I believe, and there's a lot of books here, and I was staying on the ladder to get like the full scope, and right now I'm just on the floor. But I did put easy access to some of the books that I know were probably going to be read very, very soon here in the front, like these front 3 rows. Hi guys, good morning. It is 11:56:57 and I'm ready to pick my next book. So I finished Percy Jackson yesterday and I don't know how to put into words other than it was really good. That doesn't help anybody, but my thoughts are literally all over the place, but I'm gonna try to say my piece about the book. I think it goes without saying that the intertwinedness of the Greek mythology, and I'm not too well versed in it. I do love reading materials and stories and etc. Using like the Greek mythology, but I wouldn't say like I'm an expert with anything. But what I was trying to say is that the integration or intertwinedness of it, and it attracts the reader in, draws the reader in. It's so engaging, it's so imaginative. The way that Rick writes, obviously it's placed in real the real world, so it's easy to know in your head what Los Angeles looks like, what the casino looks like, what New York looks like, the museum, etc., etc., etc. But when you have this fantasy element placed in this real world, this like magical aspect of it all, the way that Rick writes, it's so imaginative that you can place like these monsters on the bus with Percy and Annabeth and Grover, or you can visualize the Minotaur, and I think that it's also part to the type of reader that I am. I visualize everything, and I saw a TikTok recently that said that like there are people who don't visualize what they're reading, and even it doesn't have to do what they're reading. If someone's telling them a story, they can't visualize stuff like that, which I was shocked. I thought that was like a thing that like happened, but whatever, that's besides the point. I think it's also because I visualize everything, so I'm able to visualize certain things like this. But even not, Rick does describe things, and not like too detailed, but it's enough that it paints the picture. It's like more of broad strokes than very specific, but it does its job either way. So I think it works in the long run. Grover. I think I love Percy. I love Annabeth. I love Grover. I really like the characters of the book. But I think for me, Grover stole the show. He's so empathetic. He's so. I think that I think the weight of his guilt, of not having completed his prior task to the best of his abilities, to the best abilities that was set up for him, and that guilt and that pressure that he has to kind of do better, and the desperation of wanting to do better just hit so hard for me, and it just made me like I was rooting for him the most. I just love Grover, and I know that he's going to survive searching for Pan, but regardless of that, the way that Rick writes, it still sets up some sort of like anxiousness within me, that there's a possibility that something will go wrong, just based off the fact that prior they set up this context of things having gone wrong in this searching like quest that he's set out for near the end of the book. I like the growth of Percy and Annabeth's relationship. Annabeth kind of coming to terms that Percy isn't as bad as Poseidon, and not really viewing him through the lens of their parents' relationship. And their friendship is genuine. It might grow into more, like that relationship is genuine, and across all three of them, they just feel so grounded and so realistic. And at times I always forget that they're 12. I constantly forget that they're 12, so it just makes what they're doing a lot more impressive in my eyes, personally. Yeah, I want to see more gods in the upcoming books, which would make sense. Like that's obviously going to happen. But maybe we can see or get to know other gods that were mentioned in the first book. Anyways, I've talked for long enough. I think we should get to the next book that I'm going to read. Before we move on to the next book, I'm thinking of starting a Goodreads. I don't know. I do a lot of, along with my sister, we do a lot of like essay analysis, commentary, review stuff for like shows and movies and entertainment media alike, of like things that we watch or have watched, or etc., etc., etc. And I always thought of like creating a letterbox account to kind of transfer, or like a blog or something to transfer those long essays. I think transferring those long essays to a blog would make sense, and then condensing that to like a letterbox review also makes sense for me. But I was on Goodreads yesterday, which is the first time I was like ever properly on Goodreads. This time I want to make an account. I want to like write reviews for books, because I feel like other than me doing these videos where I can like quickly say my piece, I don't think I'll ever like publicly like talk about the books, in more in depth. So maybe I'll do that. I don't know. I'm thinking. But anyways, let's get into the books. Okay, so Percy Jackson is done. I understand why people are so obsessed with this book. I understand why people, and maybe Rick himself, really did not like the movies. There are just so many things that got twisted and redone. It just doesn't make any sense. There's some major things that happen. Like, I don't, Aries, not in the movie. I'm just kind of like, what's going on? I get it. I get why I get why they're remaking it. That's all I'm gonna say. This is the stack of books from the library outside. From this stack, I do want to read The Liar. And then to my right here, I have, I'm just gonna take them all out. I have stacks upon stacks upon stacks of books. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 books that I can potentially read. It's already December 5th. I'm thinking I can get through about 3 books or 4. So we're going to get into what these books are. So, it's actually been a couple of days since I last filmed these clips for you guys. The camera cut off because I ran out of storage, so I had to free up some storage, and I decided to just edit the video one time to like mass export it to delete all the individual clips. Okay, we don't have to get into all that. The video is quite long, and my original goal for this vlog was to read about 4 to 5 books across the month, and I only ended up just reading 1. I'm gonna read more, but for this vlog I think I want to cut it short because I don't want, like, Percy Jackson ended up being this book that like got me back into reading. I was definitely in a reading slump, and I was still reading prior to starting Percy Jackson, but I was basically forcing myself to read because I knew that I love reading, and it sucked that I was putting spaces in between my books, or it was sucked that I wasn't enjoying stuff. So I was just reading and reading and reading and reading and reading 3 books at a time, 4 books at a time, and I was like, this is not working out for me. So when my sister and I started doing the 75 soft challenge, and, you know, I had to like force myself to read, yes, but also having that goal of just 10 pages, I was slowly able to rebuild up that love. And really, it could have been any book that did this for me, but it just happened that I chose Percy Jackson to start off that challenge with, and I have that like that spark of passion again and that love for it again. I'm going to cut this video here, but we're going to get into my TBRs really quickly, so do not worry. But I'm going to cut the video here, and we'll get into those 4 or 5 books that I read for the month of December and the next reading vlog, which I already started filming. So yeah, subscribe or click the notification bell if you want to know when that video comes out. But let's quickly get into the TBR because I have 12 books to get through. Okay, so we're going to do this in categories, I guess, but these are books that I have already started. We'll go through this quickly, but in the beginning of the next vlog I will go in depth about each of the books in terms of like reading the summary and stuff. But Girl on the Ferris Wheel is a romance. It's like an opposite attract romance of 2 teen characters. The guy is like confident, he's in a band, and then the girl is the summary said that she's like thoughtful, and she's a movie buff, and she's going through depression. So I don't actually remember reading this book. I do remember reading this book, but I don't remember anything about the book. I'm 22 or 23 pages into the book, and I read this book during my like slump period of where I wasn't really retaining much information for the books I was reading because I was just reading for the sake of reading. So this is the book. But I feel like I don't read dedicated romance books. Sometimes I read romances with other genres, where the other genres are more of the main focus than the romance. So I could potentially read this book during this month. A book that I can continue on for where I left off is Winter Cottage. This is one of the books from my slump that I got the farthest in. I'm 134 or 135 pages into this book, and I started reading this book again after I got out of my slump, and I was able to read about like 10 pages. Winter Cottage is basically about this girl named Lucy Kincaid who basically she inherited a cottage, but she doesn't know who the owner is, and her mother basically told her nothing about it before she died. And we follow like three time periods. So we follow Lucy Kincaid in the present. We follow her mother when her mother was a teenager, interacting with the original owner of the cottage. And then we also follow the original owner of the cottage, who seems to have been like some sort of servant to a very rich family. It's a really interesting book, and it's interesting enough that I was able to continue it after I got out of my slump, but I don't know if at this moment I want to end the year off, like if I want to end the year off with a strong start, I don't think this would be the book that I would do it with. The next book that I could potentially finish is The Similars. Now, I have about 50 pages left of this book. I think I started this book like over a year and a half ago to 2 years ago. At one point, it frustrated me, so I didn't continue it. But God, when reading this, I remembered why I love this book so much, and I'll get into in the next vlog all my thoughts about it. But just to let you know, spoilers, I do put this on my TBR to finish this month, and I have already finished it. The next book I could potentially read is the second book of Percy Jackson. I'm really toying between the idea of putting spaces in between in between reading this series, or actually just jumping in and reading it. I don't know yet. The next book, or the next category, are like realism books or fictional realism, if that makes any sense. This one is called Her Body and the Other Parties, and it is a like collection of like these stories that border between the psychological realism and science fiction, comedy and horror, fantasy and fabulism. And there are 8 stories that map the realities of women's lives and the violence visited upon their bodies. The next book that I could potentially read is Interment. It's about a fictionalized futuristic United States where Muslims are deemed a threat to America, and they are basically forced into an internment camp. The next book is Survival Math. It's an autobiography, and this is just a book that is like details the life of the author. And it says this dynamic book explores gangs and guns, near-death experiences, sex work, masculinity, composite fathers, the concept of hustle, and the destructive power of addiction. Realism based, you know, I need something to break the border of just reading all fiction. The next book I have, which I showed, I believe, earlier in the vlog, is The Liar. And this one was about the girl who lied about getting sexually assaulted and living with the consequences of that. Next one we have is Behind the Closed Doors. This woman and her husband have this perfect relationship, but because there are things that get pointed out based off the summary, it's, you know, hinted that their relationship is not perfect as it really seems. I speed through these. The next one we have is A Night She Disappeared, and 2 kids disappear a year ago after going to a party. And then a year later, an author is like, I don't know, renting out a college or living in a cottage in the woods, and on a trip through the dark woods, she sees a note that says dig here, and it might be a hint to what happened. This was Clues to the Universe. It's about 2 kids. The girl here, she is an aspiring rocket scientist, and she just lost her father, and she's kind of just coping with the fact that she lost her father, and then her father also left her like a half-built rocket. And then the guy here is in love with comics, and he believes his like follower that he's never met before is the author to the favorite comic book series that he likes. And so basically the two help each other navigate their life problems. And the last book I have here is Life of Pi. Like Percy Jackson, I am already familiar with the Life of Pi storyline due to the fact that I watched the movies a lot when I was a kid. But just like Percy Jackson, I would love to start reading books for properties and just kind of like experiencing this in a book format. But yeah, this is my TBR. There are 12 books here. I still need to pick 3, maybe even 4 other books to complete the rest of the month. And currently right now, it is December 9th on a Saturday. So yeah, I'm gonna end the vlog here, but stick tuned for whenever I release my second vlog, and you guys will see the book that I pick, or the books that I will pick, and hopefully I'm able to read them in a little over half a month. So we'll see.